Hello friends, welcome back to DC School of Music. Today we are going to continue with the discussion regarding theory and diatonic major chord scales. In the last video we discussed the basics and the fundamentals of the C major scale, and just to recap, you take all of the white keys on the piano starting at middle C, and you play from C up to the B, which is 7 notes, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Those are the 7 notes that we discussed in the previous video. We also discussed the functionality of the chords that are built on these 7 notes, because you can actually stack notes on top of these individual notes and create all of the chords that are represented in the C major diatonic chord scale. And we did that in the last video. And we also have another video, if you haven't had a chance to check those out, that discuss the triads as well as seventh chords as they relate to the key of C major. So if you haven't had a chance, please go back and watch those. That will definitely help you out in terms of understanding what we're about to discuss today. Today we're going to continue with the functionality of the chords. If you'll remember, let me recap on the first video that we discussed during the theory discussion. We talked about the 3 types of functionality that occur in the C major scale. The very first one we discussed was the functionality of tonic. And tonic is a sense of being at home, feeling at rest. The second one that we discussed was subdominant, and that is a sense of being further away from home, a little bit more dissonant sounding, a little bit more unresting. It's a feeling of being at unrest, not rest. Then the last functionality is the dominant functionality, which is the most chaotic of the sounds that you hear. It's a sense or a feeling of chaos almost, and it's a feeling that you want to definitely hear a more restful, sound following that particular sound of dominant functionality. So, in the last video we discussed a movement, a chord progression that is described as a cadence. So we played a 1 chord, a C, and then we went to the 4 chord, F, and then we went to the 5 chord, G. And as you listen to those chords the way that they're represented, the C chord, very much at home, very restful. Then the F, the 4 chord, that's a subdominant function. It's a little bit more further away from home. Then we have the G chord, which is the furthest away in terms of what you're hearing. And after you hear this chord, you definitely want to hear some sort of resolution, which is a term that's used in theory, which describes the movement of a subdominant or dominant functioning chord going back home or back to tonic. So you have tonic C, subdominant F, then dominant G, then you have C again. So it cycles through a series of different feelings that are created simply by the way that you play the chords as they relate to the actual key. Today we're going to continue with these functionalities and discuss how you can substitute. And for all you songwriters out there, this is something that is probably going to help you out if you haven't already crossed this bridge. And this is for people that are just starting out in that area of their musicality. C chord is a tonic chord, but so is E minor, and so is A minor. So all of those function as tonic as they relate back to the key of C. So let me give you an example here and show you how you can actually substitute these chords for one another. As you listened to me play this before, we had a C chord, an F chord, a G chord, and then back to C. So 1, 4, 5, back to 1. Now, what if we were to go from the 1 chord to the 4 chord, F, the 5 chord, G, but not go back to C, but use a different tonic chord? In this case, I'm going to go to A minor. Okay? And I could stop there and you'd be okay with it. If you were to listen to this song, C, F, G, A minor. It's okay, right? Your ears are at rest. There's no, feeling of, hey, you need to play the next chord. Not like there is when you play and stop on the dominant. C to F, G. If I was to stop there, you'd be saying to yourself, hey, when are they going to play the next chord? Okay. So let's do this again. We have a C chord tonic, F chord subdominant, G is the dominant, and then we're going to play the A minor. That is a substitution for the 1 chord. It's the 6th chord, A minor. Now I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to play the E minor, the 3 this time, which is also a tonic functioning chord. So we start on C, play an F, then the G, then E minor. I could stop there too. And it's not too bad. I mean, it seems kind of incomplete simply because of the chords that came prior to that. But it's not so bad that you're asking yourself, well, when are we going to hear the next chord? Okay? So keep this in mind when you're in the middle of writing songs. You can always substitute tonic chords for one another. So C's, E minors, and A minors, they all substitute for one another. Now, if we take this concept one step further, the subdominant chords, which there are 2, the 2 chord and the 4 chord, those also substitute for each other, okay? And so do the dominant chords, the 5 and the 7. Those also function as substitutions for one another. So it's another way to kind of mix up your chord progressions, especially as it relates to your songwriting or even your playing of jazz tunes, for instance. If you're playing a real book tune and you want to substitute a chord, keep this functionality of the theoretical chords, the diatonic chords, in the forefront of your thoughts, because that will help you kind of manipulate the chords and come up with some new and interesting types of chord progressions, some reharmonizations of the actual song. So let's go ahead and go through this with the subdominant chords, and we'll substitute the 2 different subdominant chords. So in the original chord progression, we have a C, a 1, then we have the F, then G, then back to 1, C. Now instead of doing that, I'm going to play the 2 chord. Instead of the 4 chord, F, we're going to play through the 2 chord, and let's hear how that sounds. This is C, D minor, then G. Okay, so that works also, and that's a commonly used chord progression in all of music. It's called a 2-5-1, and maybe you've heard that, maybe you haven't, but it's very commonly used in all music: jazz, blues, popular music, top 40, country. Almost every genre of music employs that chord progression. Okay, let's play through it again. So we have C, D minor, G, and C. Okay. So the D minor is substituting for the F. So the 2 and the 4 chord, they substitute for each other. All right, let's go ahead and do the same thing with the dominant function chord, which is the G. So we'll play the C chord. I'll play the original 1, 4, 5, F, G, and then C. Now I'll substitute the dominant G chord with a B diminished, and you're going to hear what it sounds like. C, F, B diminished. Okay, makes it it's a little bit more subtle, not quite as in your face as the G chord. Let's play that again. C, F, B diminished, C. Okay, so you can hear it still works, still functions the same. So just remember, when you understand the functionality of the chords and how they relate back to the diatonic scale that you're in, it makes it a lot easier to manipulate and change the chord structure and the chord voicings that you're using in all circumstances, whether you're writing songs or you're just improvising and playing over a set chord progression. These things are very useful and helpful in coming up with different, types of sounds and different types of ideas. So I hope you guys liked that. I hope you enjoyed that. Please remember, keep on commenting. Let us know what kind of videos you'd like us to put out. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. Join us for the next video. We're going to talk about the 4th functionality, which I have not discussed yet. It's called subdominant minor. That's the fourth functionality in terms of music theory. And we're going to discuss that one in the next video. Again, thank you all for joining me today, and I hope you all have a blessed day. Thank you.